I think it's fair to say that spring has definitely sprung. Even if it's feeling a little bit colder at the moment, and we had a storm yesterday, there are definitely signs that spring is here. Maybe the daffodils are flowering where you are. We've also got the primroses and the beautiful delicate primula flowers all popping up, and some fresh, zesty green leaves. Here we are, one from a white comfrey. I've got lemon balm here. I've also got an honesty leaf as well. These lovely heart-shaped leaves. Welcome to the Virtual Village Hall. I'm Rachel from I Printed That. Thank you so much for joining me today for this spring-inspired session. Now, often I'm doing printmaking workshops with you lovely people on the Virtual Village Hall, using ink, using relief print processes. But today we're not going to use any inks. We're going to use the leaves themselves to make prints, and we're going to turn those into these really cute little leaf pendants. You can wear them around your neck, give them as presents, or you can even make them into little charm bracelets. And they're made from air dry clay, but not air dry clay that you might go and buy in the shops. We're going to make our own using some very basic ingredients, stuff that you've probably got in your kitchen cupboard. So we need some cornflour, some white vinegar, and then pop into your craft cupboard and get some PVA glue. All of the equipment and materials are listed in the show notes, but I'm going to go through them anyway, but you don't need to scribble them down if you're just watching today, because these make this really gorgeous air dry clay that has almost a porcelain effect to it. So I'm going to pop you down and we'll get started, and I'll show you what else is needed. So it's just a few other bits that we need. You're going to need your measuring spoons, a spoon to stir, a rolling pin, a sharp knife, and just a little bowl of water to the side. And you'll also need an old saucepan and a heat source. To paint them, you'll need drying time for this. So you've got 5 days drying time. I'll talk to you about that in a second or two. But to paint them, you'll also just need some watercolour paint, some water-based paint, so watercolours, or just some acrylic paints, and you just really need to water those down. And that's really all you need. So let me just clear a space and we can get started. If you're watching live today, please do give us a hi in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. And even if you're watching on replay, we always check the comments. So if you want to say hello, give any feedback on today's session, or ask any questions, then you can do in the comments at any time. So we take our cornflour. So it's a very easy recipe to remember. It's 1 tablespoon of cornflour. So it's easy to remember and also easy to scale up. And then PVA glue, if I can get this open. We want 1 tablespoon of that. So it's just 1 and 1. Okay. Let me get that PV off my finger. Good. And then you just want 1 teaspoon of white vinegar. Use white vinegar because if you use brown vinegar, it does make it go a bit brown. It doesn't look so nice. So the vinegar, in case you're wondering, is used as the preserving agent so that they don't go mouldy. So the ones that I showed you originally, these ones I made about 5 years ago. So you can see that they last really well. No mould, no breakages. It's a really simple but effective sort of air dry clay recipe. So I'm just going to mix all that together before I put it on the heat. So it just mixes up into a little bit of a paste. Try, if you can, to keep it sort of in the middle. Don't spread it around too much. I've not done a very good job of doing that. There we go. Give it a good mix. So at this point, it's going to look a little bit like toothpaste. That's the sort of texture that we've got. And then I've got my trusty camping little canister here. I do love a little bit of danger. I haven't done one of these for a little while, so let me just bring you up to make sure you can see that okay. Matches. And then you're just going to put this on a really, really low heat. So let's see if I can't turn that down. Make sure I'm going the right way. There we go. So turn really, really low heat. I'm not actually going to put it right on the heat. I'm going to hold it just above. So just take your time and just keep stirring. And it's going to go a little bit like scrambled egg at first. There you go, that's starting to heat up now. And you'll feel a little bit of a resistance as you stir, but make sure you stir so it doesn't catch the bottom. I'm just going to take that slightly off the heat. Let's make sure that bit's getting nicely cooked. So once it's that sort of texture, I'm going to turn our heat off. Move that out the way. Just let me pop a tea towel there. And put you back down again. Okay, so if you've just joined us, this is not a cookery session today, but we're actually making air dry clay. So you can make air dry clay at home from just some really basic store cupboard ingredients: cornflour, white vinegar, and then from your craft room, some PVA glue. And I'm just going to let that cool slightly. Make sure it's not too hot to touch. And now I'm going to scrape up as much as I can. And then let's just pop that to one side. Okay, so have a nice flat surface to work on, and make sure it's nice and clean as well, because being white, it does tend to show up all the dust. So I just want to start just by kneading it. And that will just kind of pull it all together, roll it into a ball. Like so, and I'm going to start just rolling that out. And then once we've rolled it out, we're going to make these air dry clay little leaf pendants using leaves from the garden. Okay, so it does stick a little bit to the surface, so just make sure, see, look, I've got tiny little hair in that already. Did have a cocktail stick somewhere. Let's just take that out. There you go. So to stop it sticking from the surface, just turn it every now and then. And if you're finding it's drying out, oh, I've got the opposite problem. If you find it drying out, then all you need to do is just take your bowl, wet your fingers, and then wet the clay, roll it up again, and start again. I think it might actually still be a little bit warm for me at the moment. So I'm just going to put it back into a bowl, allow it to cool down a little bit. Just a little bit of cornflour on my hands as well. I don't want to make it too dry, but it does seem to be a little bit sticky. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of cornflour onto my roller. That's it. That's a lot cooler now. So let's hope this works a little bit better. Yeah, that's better. She says. So just make it sort of a couple of millimeters thick. And then you want to take your leaf. So I'm going to take this the lovely Honesty heart shape leaf. And you'll see that the underside, the veins are far more prominent than they are on the top of the leaf. So that's what we're going to press into the clay. And I'm just going to use my fingers to press down to make contact with the veins and the clay. Let's just have a quick look. See if I've pressed hard enough. I'm going to press just a little bit more. Let's just make sure it's not sticking. That's good. And then take your sharp knife and you can either cut just all round and you'll have this shape. So for example, on this one, I think this was a rose leaf, so I left the jaggedy edges alone and then I just made a shape around it. So you could do it like that, or if you want to take a little bit more time over it, you can take out each sort of part of the leaf, each zigzag. So I think we've got a little bit of time this morning, so let's do that. Just bring you down a little bit closer as well. So I can always trim a couple of bits off when we've removed the leaf. Okay. So just check that's all cut and very carefully just lift it off. Just a little bit more there. And if you want to, just get a little bit of water. If you've got any sort of spiky edges that you want a bit smoother, just take a little bit of water on your finger, then just dampen those down. And that will just smooth those out. If you're going to make these into a pendant, this is the point where you put your little hole for the string in. So just using a cocktail stick or a matchstick, just want to make the hole all the way through. And then if you just take a little bit of water, that will just make sure that your hole goes all the way through. And if you want on the back, either using the knife, just make sure that hole is free of any bits of clay. So then they need to dry. So you can use what's left. Just pop a bit of water on it if it's quite dry. So they need to dry for about 5 days at room temperature. Don't be tempted to put them in the oven because they will just crack. This one does need a little bit of patience. So leave it room temperature for 5 days, and then when it's dry, you can paint them. So all you're going to do, as I said, you take some water-based paint. I'll show you on the back of this one. So at the moment they do look a little underwhelming and you can't really see the veins, but as soon as you paint them, the paint goes into those veins and then they really show up. So you could try using a mix of paint. So for this example, this one I used a neon pink and a purple, or you could just go with just a one colour. So just quickly show you here. So if I was going to go with this ochre colour, so paint and then quite a bit of water, because it's more like we're tinting it than making an actual print. Sorry, and we're actually painting it. So as soon as I start mixing paint, my mind just kind of wanders. I find it very relaxing mixing paint, so you don't get much sense out of me. And then I might actually just show you on this wet one, see how it works. It might just, oh yeah, actually it does. Look at that. So let's pretend that I've left this for 5 days and it's nice and dry. And as you can hopefully see there, as soon as you put the paint on, it goes into all the veins and it really shows up. And I would paint it around the side as well. They don't take too long to dry, but once it's dry, if you wanted to seal it, then you can do just with some clear varnish, so any sort of furniture varnish, wood varnish, that will do just fine. And either, you know, depending on your preference, if you want it matte or gloss. So you can seal those, and they make lovely little gifts as well. Nice to wear for yourself, lovely little gifts. You can do it with children if you supervise them with the heating bit. And let me just wash my hands slightly. And then once that's all dry and sealed as you need it, then, so I'm getting really messy here, then you just need to take a piece of ribbon, string, perhaps you've got a chain you can add to it. I just put the string through the hole, and you can either tie it just with a little knot like this one, or if you've got a bead, that will secure it in place as well. So pop a bead on. Cool. And there you have your home air dry clay pendants. So thank you for joining me today. I'd love to know if you're going to have a go at making those. If you do, we always want to see your photos, so please do pop them in the comments, and we will get back to you and we can share them as well for you. So thanks for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Bye.